தலைமுறைகளை தாண்டி தரத்துடன் மீண்டும் தனித்துவம் நிறைந்த கடை GRC Jewellers காஞ்சிபுரம்.
Parliament of India against the terrorist attack. I heard the President address on the other day with rapt attention. The text will be approved by the Cabinet and Cabinet will send it to the President of India to read it in the both houses of the
Parliament. You are also Cabinet Minister for a long time.
For the sake of information, I should say this one. Sir. Today is 13th December 24. The Parliament is discussing the socialist and secular phrases incorporated in the preamble. But at the same time, this same thing was discussed in 1946 in the same day. After a long debate, it was decided not to include these two concepts. Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu inaugurated the innovative Periyar Memorial in Vaikam of Kerala, where so-called low-caste people were forbidden the entry of Temple Street. Now the Periyar understood.
Milky Mist Paneer.
Sir, first of all, I pay my homage to departed security officers on 13/12/2001 in defending the Parliament of India against the terrorist attack. Sir, I heard the President address on the other day with rapt attention. But in the President address, I know the text will be approved by the Cabinet and Cabinet will send it to the President of India to read it in the both houses of the Parliament.
You are also Cabinet Minister for a long time.
For the sake of information, I should say this one. Sir. See, actually, what I find is this soul and heart of the Constitution is not there. In the preamble, secularism and socialism, most important aspect of this one, that it is not there, and it is not there in the President address. The President address have been printed in a book, and it has been supplied to all the members of Parliament. When she addresses, it has not. Both the phrases are not not spelled by the President of India, and at the same time, I hasten to. I am not finding fault with the President, but the government. The government is allergic to socialism and secularism. That is what I want to present it first of all. Sir, socialism and secularism
then what is your
are not merely just terms etched in the preamble, but they embody the essence of India's democratic, inclusive, and egalitarian vision. The Constitution is not just a book listing laws, rights, and duties. It is a vision document by the first generation leaders of the independent India that guides the country. So the words secular and socialist were inserted in preamble of the Constitution Act 1976. Even before 42nd Amendment, secularism was a fundamental part of the Constitution. Article 25, 26, 27 were specifically designed to promote secularism, but the underlying principles was already implicit in various provisions of Constitution. Of Article 14, 15, 16 of Constitution prohibits religious discrimination and ensure equal protection and employment.
Shri Kalyan Banerjee ji, T.R. Balu ji now he is standing.
Sir?
Kalyan Banerjee sahab, kindly take your seat.
Sir, the word socialist and secular represents the fundamental values that guides India's democracy and governance. Their inclusion in the preamble is not just symbolic, but underscore India's commitment to a fair, just, and inclusive society. Removing these words would not only erase the spirit of the Constitution, but also undermine the country's moral and democratic framework. Sir, today is 13th December 24. The Parliament is discussing the socialist and secular phrases incorporated in the preamble. But at the same time, this same thing was discussed in 1946 in the same day. The same phrases was discussed in 1946 on the same day. After a long debate, it was decided not to include these two concepts. But later, after a journey of 30 years, in 1976, proved that these two aspects should find a place prominently in our Constitution. This became a reality through 42nd Constitution Amendment 1976. In this backdrop, I would like to watch the legacy of our Dravidian forefathers, in particular Dr. Nadesh Mudaliar, Sir Pitti Tyagarayar, T.M. Noyer, Tandai Periyar, Peraringer Anna, and Dr. Kalaignar, who were instrumental to develop our society into an egalitarian society. Today, my leader M.K. Stalin is carrying forward torch of Dravidian legacy to achieve our forefathers' dream. Even yesterday, on 12/12/24, Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu inaugurated the innovative Periyar Memorial in Vaikam of Kerala, where so-called low-caste people were forbidden the entry of Temple Street. Tandai Periyar undertook an agitation 100 years ago in 1924 and successfully secured the entry into the temple for all people, which was a great proud of social justice. This glorious Dravidian legacy is having more than 108 years prestigious history for establishing socialist and secular society in our land. These two high ideals of socialism and secularism are the heart and soul of social justice. This Dravidian legacy commenced with the launching of reservation for the oppressed in jobs and education, and political liberation, the cursed lot of million comprised of mostly Hindu community. This country-old struggle is still not over, and the fight is continuing even after 77 years of independence. In this context only, socialism and secularism have assumed new importance, and the governments today have to improve their commitment to the people, that they will implement the noble concept of secularism and socialism in letter and spirit. We say this because this government is wavering on both these principles. The visible hesitation and wavering of the government is reflected in the President's speech, which exposing the government's dubious commitments and unwillingness in this regard explicitly and strongly. That is why these commitments are not expressly and soundly stated in the speech of President. Therefore, we are fully justified in our feeling that the observation of 75th Constitution Day is mere tokenism. That is why, after the President's speech, DMK appealed to the Speaker to take a full-fledged discussion in Parliament on the submission commission of this government. The concept of socialism and secularism did not find a place in our Constitution initially adopted in 1949. Though there was a debate on this matter, it was excluded. However, as we traveled in the free nation, the need for bringing into the Constitution expressly was felt strongly. Consequently, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was instrumental in bringing 42nd Amendment to include in the preamble itself. In this regard, I would like to point out that the very first amendment to our Constitution made in 1951 itself for an enabling provision to reservation of backward class and SC/STs. The Dravidian fathers paved the way for the above said amendment because the communal GO was introduced in 1920 by Justice Party government of S12 Madras province. This great feat was achieved by Dravidian movement in pre-independent days to uplift the socially backward classes masses. I must mention that this historical great initiative happened during the British India regime itself. This far-sightedness not only benefited downtrodden people of South India, but now the whole of Indian country is enjoying the fruits born out of the political wisdom of our forefathers of Dravidian movement. A socialist ideology has supreme value even today. Coming back to the other aspect of secularism, I want to read and quote Article 15(1) of the Constitution. I quote, "The state shall not discriminate against any citizen of India on grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them," unquote. The vital question is, has the state ensured this mandate in all these years? What happened in Odisha when Father Graham Steens was burnt alive when sleeping? How many places of worship have been pulled down is known to the entire world. Mob lynching and massacre of the innocent minorities in Gujarat and many other states. Suppression of linguistic rights. Most gruesome example of the mob lynching was attempted against our Tamil leader K. Kamaraj, and his house was torched. These cruel incidents happened due to the religious frenzy. Situation today is more grim than 1970s because the minorities and the poor masses have strong feeling that they have been left out and their livelihood is in serious threat. That is why we wanted the government should expressly commit themselves to the two noble principles. Hence, it was our strong wish that the President of India in her address on 75th Constitution Day should have at least made a mention that her government is committed to the socialist secular values so that 145 crore people of this vast nation could get the right signal and would have felt this reassured. This became a valid point because only on the previous day, that this 25th November 2024, the Supreme Court had given a historical verdict on this matter. The Supreme Court has dismissed a petition praying for the deletion of the word socialist and secular from the preamble of the Constitution. The Supreme Court correctly condemned the petitioner who were motivated by the partisan consideration in filing the petition challenging the constitutional validity of the matter after 44 years of the 42nd Constitution Amendment. In the light of such important development, we strongly feel that the President in her speech should have mentioned about this so that the commitment of the government on two high principles are proved beyond doubt, and 145 crore people will also be convinced about the unwavering sincerity of the government in this regard. When compared to the Mughal rules in 300 years and British rule in 200 years, our journey of 75 years independent nation is not that long, but it has checkered history, and it is time for us to introspect. That is why we wanted discussion in the Parliament, and it happened today. On behalf of my party and my leader, Dr. M.K. Stalin, profoundly thank and salute the architect of the Constitution, the great Dr. Ambedkar, and also some of our leaders from our Tamil Nadu, Raja of Uppili, Kakkan, freedom fighter Kakkan, Swaminathan, R.K. Shanmu Chettiar, T.T. Krishnamacharya, Alladi Krishnaswamy, and the great leader K. Kamaraj and O.V. Allegation and so on. Sir, with this, I conclude and at the same time, thank you for the time given for me.
தலைமுறைகளை தாண்டி தரத்துடன் மீண்டும் தனித்துவம் நிறைந்த கடை ஜிஆசி ஜுவல்லர்ஸ் காஞ்சிபுரம். மில்கி மிஸ்ட் பன்னீர்.
Minnambalam.com தமிழின் முதல் மொபைல் பத்திரிகை.